Now, it's been a chaotic week in Australian politics, but there's also been no shortage of drama playing out on the world stage. US President Donald Trump travelled to the World Economic Forum in Davos while threatening tariffs on any European countries that stood in the way of his plan to annex Greenland. But by Thursday our time, Trump dropped the tariff threat after a meeting with the NATO Secretary-General, and now he's claiming a quote-unquote future deal will give the US full access to Greenland. Joining me now to discuss this and more is Dianna Nerozzi, a White House reporter at Politico. Dianna, welcome. What's the latest? It's been a bit up and down, all of this week.
It has, and Trump has claimed that he's reached a deal with the European leaders on Greenland that will give America access. And the final details of the deal have not been published. I think it's still a work in progress. But both sides, the Europeans and the Americans, are now claiming victory. Trump, because apparently America will have more access to Greenland in terms of security, in terms of getting the Europeans to step up and pay more money for the security of Greenland. And the Europeans showed that they could stand up to Trump and in their own way have this conversation and not totally back down to everything that he was saying. But in my opinion, this was Trump's plan all along, to ratchet up the pressure, to make everyone freak out a little bit. And then, of course, he wasn't going to use military incursions. But with that threat, he was able to make people come and at least have this negotiation about security.
I guess that's part of the thing, isn't it, right? I mean, the question is this Donald Trump's art of the deal, where he sort of gives you the worst-case scenario and says, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to slap all these tariffs on you, a bit like we saw him do with Mexico and other nations. I'm going to take these really punitive measures. They then come to the table and he goes, oh, well, I get what I want after all. It's sort of make an ambit claim and then people will come and negotiate with him.
I think I personally think it was the art of the deal, but I think that leaders were right to be a little panicked because of what we saw in Venezuela. I think we've seen these kinds of threats before, but when you do see Trump act and take out Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, and transport him to the US, maybe, President Trump is capable of annexing Greenland. That's the kind of thought that was going on here. Maybe he is just that crazy to do it.
Well, speaking of being crazy on these matters, I have to say the message he sent to the Norwegian Prime Minister, more or less saying, you didn't want me to have the Nobel Peace Prize, so I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about peace anymore. To me, that seemed like throwing the toys out of the cot. I know Donald Trump does politics differently, and that's what makes him so successful, and that's why so often we like him so much, but that seemed like a step too far.
I think he's also been increasing this kind of rhetoric because it's, hopefully and likely his last term in office. We don't think he's going to seek a third term. But I think this is his last opportunity to really make a splash on the world stage and really do whatever he wants. And he's seen that he is able to do so without any real repercussions. We haven't seen drastic damage to the US, the economy. The international relations somehow always do come out with Trump still having relations with Europe and all these other countries because they do need Trump for security, for negotiations, and as an ally.
The other thing he's done at the World Economic Forum is assemble and announce this Board of Peace. How is this going to work?
The Board of Peace, he's announced to govern Gaza. And it's still a work in progress. He's invited countries to join, but several key U.S. allies have said that they're skeptical of it, that they don't want to join. And then his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's been one of the key people doing the negotiations with Israel and with Ukraine as well, he came out with a PowerPoint presentation at Davos showing how the U.S. and these other countries are going to economically impact and build up Gaza. I think I mean, we'll just have to see what happens with this Board of Peace, who's going to join, but there's a lot of questions about what's going to happen in Gaza.
We'll see how it plays out, of course. Now, before you go, we have the Australian Open here in Melbourne at the moment, of course, one of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. Now, American player Amanda Anisimova is off to a flying start. She's into the 3rd round tomorrow. But after her win yesterday in the 2nd round, she was asked the most bizarre question about whether she was comfortable playing under the American flag. Take a look at this.
I've been asking a lot of the American players just how it feels to play under the American flag right now, and I'm curious how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in America, so I'm always proud to represent my country. And yeah, a lot of us are doing really well, and it's great to see a lot of, great athletes on the women's side, on the men's side. So yeah, I feel like we're all doing a great job representing ourselves.
And sorry, do you mind if I follow up?
Sure.
Sorry, just to clarify a little, I mean, sort of in the context of the last year of everything that's been happening in the U.S., does that complicate that feeling at all?
I don't think that's relevant.
Oh, I mean, for goodness sake, Diana, what an unhinged question.
A few thoughts come to mind when I see that clip. First, I do wonder what the nationality of the reporter is. Is the reporter himself American? And secondly, I think this is an example of a reporter trying to lead the player, the person answering the question, to a certain answer. And I think the context that the reporter was trying to indicate here is to pressure the player to denounce the ICE raids, maybe Trump's presence on the international stage in the last year. Not exactly sure exactly what the reporter was referring to, but it's been increasingly more prevalent for stars in America, for players as we see here, to say, no, I'm not going to denounce America altogether. I'm just here to play my sport.
Well,
I'm just here to play my music.
And surely that is what they are there for. It's all they are there for. They don't have to get involved in politics. It's just extraordinary. Dianna, Nerozzi, thank you so much for your time.